Okay, I'm here with Danielle Redmond, and this is a Life Worth Living episode number 5. So we're getting along there with them. So Danielle is a Tai Chi teacher. She's travelled over to Asia and learnt from some of the best in the world. She lives in the country, and she's a country girl, grown up and experienced that side of life. Overall, lovely person. I met her when I was out teaching in the country last year. And I met her through going to one of the Tai Chi classes that she runs out in this small country town called Warren. And yeah, it's great to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Cool. So the podcast, it's called A Life Worth Living. Basically, what it's about is I'm trying to pull in different people from different perspectives and just trying to chat to them about what makes life living, how to engineer experiences you want to have. I hit it from 6 different areas, so that's time, money, relationships, environment, purpose, and health. And those 6 things combined and balanced for me creates like an authentic, beautiful lifestyle. So yeah. So the first thing I wanted to chat about is just sort of your upbringing, your story. So what are some of the experiences starting in your early life that have led to you becoming who you are now?
Okay, well, I am originally from Brewarrina in New South Wales. It is a very Western community. My parents were the very, working 9 to 5, if not more hours, if that. I was baptised Catholic and went to a Catholic school and everything that a normal little country town would do. There's lots of things to learn and see there. I was very fortunate. I was able to ride horses, have motorbikes. I had 3 crazy brothers, so we got up to all kinds of mischief. And we're all very unique and different as well, with different personalities, which is good to have. So we shared differences as well, and we still do. But the thing I loved about the town, it was the culture that it had, the Aboriginal culture, and just the different lifestyles that people led and with their own belief and value system. So that was a structure for me to develop from. And then soon as I, hit year 6, I went off to boarding school in Bathurst. So that's where that went, and for a few more years, and then returned back to Brewarrina to work out there amongst everybody. Yeah.
Cool. What did you originally aspire to do when you finished school?
That's a funny question. So in my mind, because I loved animals so much, I wanted to become a veterinary nurse. But there wasn't actually a veterinary clinic in Brewarrina, so that was going to be very hard for me to do. But I still had that work experience. And then I went into childcare, so I got my certificates in childcare studies and worked in a childcare centre in Brewarrina and also the local hospital as well. So I got to know a lot of the locals through the hospital.
Cool.
And then, so that's where that went. I was just sort of floundering there for a few years, like not knowing what I really wanted to do. And at that time it was just make money and save because there was nowhere to spend it out there.
Yeah.
Fair
enough. Do you find it's useful having that period of your life where you try and figure out what you want and like put the time and energy towards that rather than just committing to something you're not entirely interested in?
Yes, so there was many other people around me that were going to university, and I didn't feel comfortable with doing that yet. Like I felt like I needed to live a bit more before I jumped into a commitment like that, and also grow as a human. Like, I was young and naive, like most of us are, so I needed to have that experience, and I got those experiences working through those childcare centre and in the hospital. So I got to see all the positives and all the negatives as well. And in saying that too, with small towns, most people love small towns, and some people just feel limited from them and what they can offer. Unfortunately, I was one of these people that I felt it placed limitations on me, and I'm a person that needs stimulation and more people and things available. So yeah, so that's where I chose to move on then to Warren. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Is that because Warren's closer to Dubbo and more populated places?
It is. It's another little country town. It's only an hour and a half from Dubbo, so it is more accessible to Dubbo as the hub. Yeah, and it has a great little community. There's a lot of things that are have their potentials here, and I found that the need for one of those things was Tai Chi, for sure.
Oh, awesome. Because yeah, I found that too. I like, for reference for people listening, Warren is about 2,000 people, isn't it, in the Shire?
Yeah,
and then
it's building up there to 3, and then every day I see new people. I'm like, who is that? But everyone's lovely, everyone's welcoming. It's just one of these towns, and I don't mean to discriminate or make anyone feel bad, but it's just one of those towns where it's lacking something and you just can't put your finger on it. It's just like it's out of balance a little bit, and that's where I find more people like myself and other light workers, we can come in and fill those voids.
That's so powerful. And there's probably so much space and need for it in so many towns out there. It'd be powerful.
Yeah,
and then
is.
Dubbo, just for reference to people listening, because they might not know where these places are, Dubbo's probably, it's still central New South Wales, but it's a town of about 50 to 60,000 people. So it's still relatively small compared to a city or something else. But it's big enough to sort of have a little scene for everything. At least what I found from living in Warren for a year where I met Danielle. There's enough people there to find a scene for different things. So they'll have a sort of club or a community for most activities or things you could be interested in. Yeah, so when you're talking about Tai Chi, what started the interest in that?
Okay, so I was working in Warren. So I worked, before my Tai Chi all came about, I worked in a few places in Warren, the RSL Club, and also at night I did that, and of a daytime I would work at a little cafe. And that was fine. That was, I was making a living and whatnot. But then this lady come in one day, and I had the urge to meet her, and she is a psychic medium, and she's an older lady, her and her husband, and they're quite intuitive. And we got talking, and then I said to her, like, because I was working the shift, would she like to meet up again, her and her husband, and we have a coffee and talk about everything? Well, from that day, the next day, we sat in that cafe for 8 hours and talked about everything, crossed everything. And then even after that, we had met other times where I've spent most of the days and had lunch, and we just continually to open up these doors of spirituality, what we need to do as a human race to raise our vibrations, everything that you can imagine Marcus Aurelius's philosophy on things. So they opened up a big door for me to explore myself, and they have been the primary drive behind me, I guess you could say. I look to them now as close, like as relatives and spiritual teachers, which they have been. Yeah.
Great. And was it them that exposed you to Tai Chi?
It was. I through one of our very long meetings that we had, I said to Mother, I just can't meditate. I just can't physically sit and just meditate and shut off, because I'm always thinking about, with my young family now, I have to get home, I have to cook dinner, pick up the kids from school, Did I turn the iron off? That kind of stuff, you know, the usual household mum stuff. And I just couldn't settle down my mind. So then she suggested, why don't I try Tai Chi? And I was thinking, now what's this? You know, because everyone thinks, oh, you know, the older generation of Chinese people practice it in parks, and that's all I knew about it. So I said to her, well, what a good idea. So I obviously, having the exposure now to the internet, and I'm straight onto YouTube, Tai Chi, who's Tai Chi, you know, where can I learn Tai Chi? And I looked in Australia, but nothing really jumped out at me and said, you know, go here. It just did have a different feel to it. And it's sad to say, the feeling I had about that was, and I'm sure they're great teachers, there was the money connection, you know, which I think some things are a bit overpriced, you know, and some things are underpriced, but for the amount it was going to cost me to do 1 week in Sydney, including my accommodation, fuel to drive, because it's, you know, 6 hours to Sydney, and the course, was 1 month in China, with full board, meals, learnings directly from the masters off the mountain, off Wudang Mountain, flights included. So I was like, this is a no-brainer. The universe is directing me. I've got to go overseas. I've got to go straight to the source and learn. And that's what I mean. Like, it's no offense to the Australian teachers, but I just didn't feel that connection. I needed to have the experience as well. So I then Googled, and I found George Thompson's YouTube videos of Wudang Mountain, and he talked about how great it was, and he was training under Master Gu Shining, who lived and practiced on the mountain, and I thought, that's where I got to go. This is it. So then I emailed Master Gu and said, I would like to come to your establishment and learn Tai Chi. And that's where it went. He was like, come on over. He was so polite that I thought it was a scam email.
Wow.
Because, yeah, he was so polite and so excited to have me. I thought it was a scam. So I was very curious about that. I thought, here I go, I'll turn up in China and this thing won't be real. But who cares anyways? I got here, I'm still having an experience. Well, anyway, I ended up going up the mountain, and he was everything that you could dream of. Like, it was like stepping back in time. You know, everything down to the clothing that they wore, the way that they presented themselves. It was just amazing. It was an amazing experience.
Cool. How long ago was it that you went over and trained with him?
So I went, it was in November and December of 2019. So I haven't been doing this practice for a long time, but I'm also a believer, you don't have to do something for a long time if you're passionate about it. You practice it and you perfect it every day.
Yeah.
It's whether up to the individual, you know, what level you want to go to. You know, I'm not saying I'm amazing, but I do practice it a lot because I am passionate about it. But anyway, so I went in November, December. I just forgot about Christmas. I was like, no, I'm going to China, I'm doing this, and this is it. And then I got reminded by family it was Christmas and I better come home for it. So, and which I did, and lucky because that January COVID came.
Yeah,
true. So when I think about it now, COVID was actually in Wuhan when I was in Wudang. So I was lucky that I just basically got on a plane and got out. But yeah, it was quite interesting times, but it was an experience I'll never forget. And I just, when I had that experience of being there, learning, there were other international students there as well. It was learning new people, new ways of their own culture as well, not just the Chinese culture, but also finding myself there as such. it was like this amazing epiphany happened. Like, I just looked at everything with new eyes, seeing birds fly in the sky. I was grateful for every moment I had there. And I have so much high respect for the Chinese people on Wudang. They're great people. And I just hope one day when everything settles down with the COVID situation and we don't have to quarantine, I can get back over there. But I am in often contact with Master Gu, just checking in to see how he is and his family, and everything seems to be great over there, but it's just, this quarantine business. Once it goes down, I'll be back on that plane, back over there. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it'd be fascinating to go and... Because it's really romanticised, I think, in heaps of martial arts to travel to the homeland of that martial art, especially China, with Tai Chi and all, like, the Shaolin Kung Fu styles and a lot of that. And it's powerful that you found a good teacher and that you were able to go over there and to actually go on that, like, I guess you could almost call it like a pilgrimage, like going to the homeland of a style and learning from the masters of it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, if I'm going to learn, I'm going to the source, and this is where I need to go. I didn't know anything other about the Tao Te Ching. I was just like, yep, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going over there, and this is what I'm doing. I just had a mission, and I threw it up to the universe, and they were like, yep, off you go. So everything worked out, and it, and it was great. I never regret any moment being there. But yeah, it was. I just feel, in today's society, we do so much online, and it's great because we're still staying connected, but it's not giving you that experience. You're not sitting down afterwards having conversations about different topics, and just generally having the feel of the culture itself, meeting other people that are there on the mountain, passing by, experiencing the amazing temples. So I just hope people can, not limit themselves just to a online course, but also go out there and experience it for yourselves.
Yeah, I think too, learning a martial art or energy practice or something like that, at least for me, because I'm involved in Okinawan martial arts, is it's very different to have a teacher in front of you, to be in a physical space with other people practicing it, than it would be to learn online. Even from the sense of if you're doing something incorrectly, it's very easy not to notice when doing an online course or something that's pre-recorded or even live over Zoom, in comparison to real life. Especially as you get more advanced and there's very subtle things that you don't pick up as much over a screen.
Yeah, it is. Circling back to my childhood, I was fortunate also, we had a jiu-jitsu instructor in our town, so I learnt jiu-jitsu, so I completely understand how hard it was to do that, let alone learn it online. To get the correct stance and your fists in place. Also with Taekwondo, in my late teens I did that as well. But I just feel, with the Zoom it's great, but people have just got to get back to connecting with others to learn. That's the only way we're going to do it.
So what do you find are the benefits of someone practicing Tai Chi?
Longevity. Prolonging a life. Tai Chi is it's a moving meditation. So like I was saying to you, I can't sit to meditate because I'm thinking like all these other things. So Tai Chi quietens my monkey mind down. I'm too busy focusing on what I have to do. Sometimes I even forget what move I'm doing because I'm too busy meditating and far off, not thinking about anything. And I've spoke to this about this to my master, and he has told me that's absolutely normal to do that because that means that you're in that meditational state. And I was like, thank goodness. So you're on the right track when you have these experiences. But it also creates, opens up your cells for the oxygen to come through, unblocks any stagnant energy that might be flowing through your body. So if you have a sore arm, shoulder or knee, that's just stagnant energy that is being collected. Through this gentle movement, you can unlock and open up those channels and meridians. And that's what it's all about, just connecting back to what we used to be before we got socially structured as such.
Yep. Yeah, because I think a lot of people in Western cultures, at least from my upbringing before I had any idea about any of it, I basically thought, I guess, what most people think, it's like a gentle martial art for old people. That was the original, like it's a very soft, gentle martial art. And it was what you said, you'd always imagine sort of old people doing it in the park.
Exactly.
For some reason.
Exactly. So it is martial arts still. It has been classed as steel fists wrapped in cotton wool. So it is, gentle punches and movements. And it's great for people, older people with arthritis and such, because you're having that gentle movement in their limbs and their fingers, and they don't have to stand to do it either. I have a couple of students that I say to them, if you prefer to sit, that's okay. We can modify the moves for your needs. It's not a problem. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Do you find that Tai Chi, I don't know if you would have ever had to, probably not, but do you think Tai Chi, works itself well for combat? As in, if someone was to physically attack you or someone who knew it, they'd have an advantage knowing it? Like if you put it under pressure?
I think so. For me, as I was saying to you before, with my early childhood jiu-jitsu and also taekwondo, that also helps as well. But there is a few Tai Chi moves that you can use. It is the same movements as blocking, but they call it cloud hands. So you just have to speed it up and defend yourself, push your attacker off, and run. The thing is, we don't cause the fight. We are always the defender, and if we have to fight, we will. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. What do you think it does to your mindset practicing Tai Chi?
It calms me down significantly. So sometimes if I'm rushing around in the morning trying to get my children off to school, out the door and then to my Tai Chi class, sometimes I'll turn up faster. As soon as I start, my mind slows down. I slow down, and it's like a wave over the rest of the class as well. Everyone picks up on everyone's energy and just calms down. But I don't imagine myself now without doing Tai Chi. I think it has amazing benefits when it comes to dealing with anxiety and depression as well. Like I was saying, during COVID times, there was a lot of people that just went into themselves, and they just had a dark cloud over them where they could not see the positive side of it as well. And I was fortunate to be able to practice Tai Chi at my home, and also, do a Zoom meeting to touch in with people, because I think we all have to look after each other, and our mindset plays a major part in that as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's super powerful. And through Tai Chi, is that how you discovered Taoism?
I did. So with my spiritual teachers, one was a Buddhist and the other was a Taoist.
Okay.
And so and they're married. And so it was great to have different perspectives from the Buddhist and the Taoist. And I found I belonged more to the Taoist side of things, as I am a believer in nature and what it gives, and and just goes with its natural course, what we must do. But a lot of people forget that as well, and I think it's good to be reminded of the Tao. But also, my China experience did amplify that a lot as well, and reading the Tao Te Ching every night as we would after supper. So it was quite intriguing, and having that different philosophy of things as well. So, yeah.
And I guess you would have been able to see too, living over there, like how the Taoist philosophy actually has shaped people and what it's done to them and how they live and how they see the world. Like, it's not just like you're reading the Tao Te Ching and not seeing embodiments of it everywhere. Like, over there, you truly would be.
Yeah, everyone is grateful, and they are happy doing with what they are doing. There's I did not see anyone complain about anything. Everyone was always happy to me, and I feel that has a lot to do with their belief. Whether it be in, as many Chinese people are Buddhist as well, whether it be Taoist or Buddhism, they just seem to have a different glow about them. And they were just, everything, I can't express it so much, but everyone was just calming and welcoming. It wasn't high, tense energy. It was just on one level. And I do think that is because of their religions.
Cool. So how would you explain Taoism to someone who wasn't familiar with it?
Okay, well, this is just my perspective.
It's a challenging question.
It is. Everyone is different. So my belief on Taoism is, like I was saying, you have to go with just nature. There's nothing you can, if it rains, there's nothing you can do about it. That's nature. It just comes, and we are supposed to follow our nature as well. Whether we find our own right nature to go about certain things, whether it be, some of the principles are not to drink, not to have adultery, sort of the same thing, similar things as the Ten Commandments, but it's just basically just be a good person. That's my outlook on things. And just go with some stuff. Some stuff you can't stop, like I was saying, like the weather, you can't stop it, just go with it and do it. But, that's the main thing I think of is you just, the old saying is like flow like water, just go with things. Once you have something in your vortex and you put it out to the universe, things happen.
Okay.
But I've also been told by my spiritual teachers, it doesn't matter what path you take, make sure, as long as you're on a path, because there's different paths up the mountain to where you need to go. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you're sort of saying it's like, it's a way to like tune into a natural flow and then to move with that natural flow, rather than sort of resisting it or fighting it or trying to like swim upstream.
Exactly. That's where I was trying to go. Once you get into the vortex, go. I also feel that it has similarities to paganism as well. So pagans are very earthly people and about nature as well, and the energy as well. So there's similarities in each religion as such. If you want to follow the Taoist religion, I follow Taoist philosophy. I find that works for me more. But it's funny though when people ask me what am I, of course I'm always going to come back to say, I say to them now, I was baptized Christian, Catholic, but I practice Taoism, and people are genuinely intrigued by that.
Yeah, they would be. Yeah, because they're two very distinct paths, I guess.
Yeah, so I have had that, growing up of being Catholic and learning about certain aspects of the Bible and Jesus and stuff. I'm not saying that they're not real. It just hasn't worked for me, so I found something else that is working for me. And I think that's what it's about, finding things that work for you. Who knows, 20 years down the track, I might go, oh, okay, well, I've learned all I can with this and it's done this for me. I might go Buddhist now. So each their own. It doesn't mean you can't change,
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's what you're referring to before. Is like there's different paths up the mountain.
Yeah.
And even if you decide you're a Buddhist in 20 years, that's where your intuition or that natural flow is taking you.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So how did you find personally in your life, like that shift, say like pre-China to now? What are some of the differences you've noticed in yourself and everything along those lines due to Tai Chi or Taoism, or not so much a result of practicing the art, but how has the rest of your life changed outside of practicing the art?
It has changed a lot. I've always wanted to be able to help people, and I just didn't know how to do it. And as I was saying, working in a cafe and at a night time of a club, I would listen to people often talk about their lives, and I always thought, well, I want to work with people, and how am I going to do this? Tai Chi has given me that opportunity to help people, but it's also helped me grow, and I don't think I would have been able to do this if I didn't. Just learning from other people, and it's gaining that knowledge, that life knowledge that we all need, and not being shut off to the outside world, and just accepting everyone for who they are and situations. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. And then you're living in Warren now, which is a country town. That's where, because I met you in Warren last year when I was teaching out there. So what do you find it's like living in the country, and how do you think that would compare to living in a city?
Living in the country, everyone knows everyone. You can develop great little communities, and I just find, for me, I like being stimulated, so I do like more people. So in a bigger city, it would be harder to find new students, but in saying that as well, I think word by mouth gets out there pretty quick, and people are interested in things. People are interested in trying new things if they're close by and available. But I don't know, one day I will move to a bigger city, and I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, it'll be different.
Yeah.
Be a little bit. Yeah, I noticed sort of from living in Newcastle, which isn't a big city, it's about 500,000 people, to Warren, like it's a significant difference. And to me, like there's pros and cons of both lifestyles.
There is.
I think living in somewhere like Sydney or a big city would be very busy, I believe. Like, I don't know if I could personally live in Sydney, or I don't know, it might just be too chaotic, too expensive, too much traffic. So many other reasons.
It is.
Just everyone's full on.
Yeah, there it is, and it would be hard to find a quiet place to practice. Where here I'm very fortunate. We do have quiet places. We do have a lot of land space as well. So if we wanted to train in a paddock, that's not a problem at all. The only thing I don't enjoy is the 40-degree heat. But again,
fair.
Yeah, it's great. But coming from a already Western community where it's like 42 degrees sometimes, I should be used to it. But going back to the city, when I've got family that live in Sydney. When I do travel to Sydney and I'm on the freeway, I tend to do a qigong to calm me down, to help me get through the traffic, because I get a bit anxious when I'm surrounded by cars, but I'm never not safe. Everything's fine, but it's just that automatic anxieties that we all have, that I use that as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sydney is quite expensive. But then again, I look at the positive too, like everything's available. I always think, geez, I would like to move to a place where if I forget the milk, the shop's not going to shut at 6 o'clock, because in other places like Coles and Woolies, they're open to 11 o'clock, so I can just run down and grab something. They're the availability things that I look at, that I like, things that would work for me. But I guess if you're living in these places too, you don't see these things.
Yep.
As a thing where you can notice some things in the country you think, I would like to change just that little bit better to make your life easier. But I am very grateful for where we are as well.
Yeah.
Having that support from the community.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I mean, one thing I noticed, because cities, I guess they seem so much faster, like everything's going so much quicker. Like they're convenient, but they're quick. Like everything's happening. There's way more happening than you could ever know about or engage with. But I found with talking to people, in Sydney, everyone was really, really fast in their minds. Like there was a lot going on. And say, for example, if I was walking along the street, like say in Darling Harbour, I say hello to a stranger. Usually you get no acknowledgement, really, not much. Then in Newcastle, if I say hello to someone in a central area, usually people will give you a wave and say hello, and they sort of acknowledge that you talk to them. But then in Warren, I sort of tried it. I went for a walk just along sort of the main street and just had a chat with people. You say hello to someone in Warren, and I noticed about probably 1 in 3 people actually assumed you wanted to have a conversation, not that you're just saying hello as like a courtesy.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
They want to stop you and know everything about you and what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Where you're
exactly.
from. And,
yeah. Even at the end, when they knew who I was, like I'd say hello to someone, and because it's a small town, after living there for a year, I didn't know everyone personally, but I sort of knew their faces. And they'd stop and say, oh, how you going teaching, and how you doing this? And like, just that hello, they took it as me wanting to start a conversation, not just as me saying hello.
Yeah. I see it too as that social structure here is they like to make a bit of a profile of you. So if you're going to stop and say hello to them, they want to go, okay, well, I want to talk to this guy and know what he's up to. And, and then that's where you'll stand there and lose half an hour talking about stuff. I myself often get caught up in the frozen veggie area in the IGA and catch up with people there. It's one of the hot spots for a conversation in the IGA, which is great. You're right. Sydney, again, I think every city has their own structure and their own social norms and whatnot. But everyone's very distant because I don't want to be in, a part of your business, or they think people, if you say hello to them, they automatically think you want something from them, and it's really sad to think that we can't, we can't make that connection anymore, and this is the problem. This is it goes straight back to your dating apps and everything. How are you supposed to connect with people if you're doing it digitally?
It's
how
harder.
are you supposed to like exactly.
Dating apps. Because I'm young and single, all you've got to go off is a photo and a sentence. You can't get someone's vibe from that.
Oh, yes. I often think I am so grateful and lucky for my relationship now, because I don't think I'd be able to do dating apps and stuff.
It's different.
It's not a bad thing for some people, but it's not my first choice. I would rather sit and have a conversation and build from there. But it's sad that Sydney is becoming more like that. In other places change and they vary. And also, like, a lot of people too might think that, depending on when they read your body language and your approach, that they can read what you actually want. But obviously Warren people read you and they want to know everything about you, and and that's great. I think that's really great.
Yep. Oh, for sure. I think too. I think there's this thing in most human beings where they want to feel like they're making a difference to the world to some degree. And I mean, in Sydney, you could be doing something extraordinary or that you deem extraordinary, and you wouldn't really see it around you. You might see it like in your social circles and maybe with the people you talk to, but in the place as a whole, you probably wouldn't notice. But what I noticed in Warren, being a smaller place, like even after a few months of being living there, and it was really weird. Like I noticed how me being there actually changed the town a little bit.
Yeah.
Just one person, and I'm just like, oh, this is really weird. Like I say something or do something, and that has a ripple effect that I see through the whole town.
Exactly.
It's really interesting.
And I understand it completely, and that's where I feel I'm doing that with Tai Chi.
Yeah.
So we have a group of elderly ladies that I teach. I think that come twice a week with my adult class. So they range from 60, late 60s to 85 years old.
Wow.
And I always feel like I can channel through them. So what energy I'm giving out and teaching them how to use their energy, they're taking it home and teaching their family. Like, and it just channels straight through them. And their attitudes are completely different. Every lesson that we do, I get from the ladies, thank you so much, I really needed this. And I always say to them, look, I get good stuff from it as well. Like, I need to do it as well, and it's great that I can share it amongst my friends and my community as well. Especially, I also work with young children in preschool age and to high school as well. And you can notice a difference with the preschoolers. They love it. They love doing an animal qigong. They love learning Tai Chi, and we do a yin and yang activity as well. And you can just feel them glowing inside. And often the little kids will say to me, oh, when are you coming back? Are you coming back tomorrow? And I say to them, look, I'll come back as soon as I can, because they would just want you to keep coming back day after day. And also with the teenagers at the high school, I recently did Are You OK Day with them, because I like to advocate for suicide prevention. I think, especially after 2 years with COVID, it's had an impact on everyone. And not to say that suicide hasn't been a major factor before, we're not addressing it as we should have, and now it's becoming more open. We must talk about these things, especially with our youth, especially with the online stuff and where it starts, the bullying starts, and too many things are happening to young children, and they just have no one to talk to and no one to turn to. And just knowing that we have these availability services in town, like counsellors. If kids want to learn how to control their anxiety, I try and teach them a qigong to calm them down. And I noticed a few kids at the school carnival actually did the qigong as I was walking around the oval. So that's where I was like, yes, I've made an impact on someone's little life, and that was great. But yeah, so working with the youth at the youth centre as well, I feel that has made an impact on them.
Yep.
Just creating that calm environment, and they love to do the activities and exercises. Yeah.
And yeah, that's so powerful that you're seeing kids using what you're showing them in their everyday lives. And those kids will grow up and they'll keep it.
Exactly. It's almost like a moth to the flame. Like, they are drawn to you because they can feel what they need. Like, it's almost like these kids are starving for any kind of connection back to what we used to be, our energy source. And it's great that I can offer that to these kids. Yeah.
I remember too being able to start like a martial arts club when I was teaching at the school, and seeing the same thing. Like, the kids loved it.
They do.
Yeah, and then for whatever reason, term 2, it didn't seem to happen again. But regardless, they really liked it. Like, started I get like half the school there some days, which is
That's
like
great.
impossible to teach them anything properly, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is. They do love it. I have I've done a few lessons at the primary school, and I had a lot of even parents come up to me and say to me, "What did you do?" Because my child loved it so much and he found it so calming. He struggles to calm down at the best of things. Can you teach me what I can help him with? And I just think that's great. So it's definitely having an impact for sure.
What do you find it's like having a family out in the country?
Yeah, it's busy. It still is busy. Everything's still run on a routine like any other family. But in saying that, I try and give my child the amount of activities I had as a child as well. So motorbike riding, anything adventurous that we can do. But it is good, and then again, it does have its, cons as well. My partner's family are in Sydney, and my family are in Brewarrina, so there's, the distance, having that interaction with our other family as well. It's a bit hard and tricky. But yeah, but we get around it. We're very family orientated, this little family. So we do a lot of things together. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And do you guys live in town or do you have a property?
We have a property, it's 1 kilometre out of town,
Okay.
which is great. So it's further enough from town, but it's quick enough. So, yeah, if I've got to run into the school and pick them up or go to the shop, anything like that, it's quite handy. We back onto a creek as well. So at the moment we've got flooding. So we've been going into the boat up to the golf club, having a couple of beverages and then getting in the boat and coming back.
Cool.
So it's a family day out. It's a family experience. So more often my partner will drive up in the boat and have a few drinks, and I don't drink, so I drive back.
Wow.
But that's what we do, make the best of a situation that's out of your control, hence flooding. So
Is that all the way from your place in the boat?
yes.
Wow.
So,
how high is the floods? Is it higher than when I was there?
Yeah, for sure. So our whole golf club filled up with water,
Wow.
and you could get the boat and back it almost straight onto the back stairs where you go up the veranda and into the club itself. So
That's insane.
It is insane, but like I was saying, you just make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah.
Go to the meat raffle on Friday in the boat, and then come home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you obviously wouldn't be able to do that in Sydney. So that's another pro from living out here, and people are so relaxed as well. They don't care if you park the boat on the golf course.
Yeah, that's it. That's one thing I noticed too, that it's not as regulated and strict and sort of bearing down on people as it can be in a city. Everyone seems to have that bit more freedom living out there.
Yeah, no one gets told on too much.
Yeah, it's
and
there's no petty little rules in the shops or wherever else you go that it's like a big community, so you don't get hit with those little things that you can't do in a city as much.
Exactly. There's not a lot of limitations here. So there would be in Sydney or in any cities, but
what would you call it? Red tape.
Yes,
there's not as much red tape. Yeah, cool. Awesome. So, what are some things that you're planning to do in your future?
With Tai Chi itself, or
just in general? It can be with Tai Chi or any other area of your life.
So, coming up with Tai Chi at the moment, I have a 6-week scheduled plan to work with the elderly people over at Clara House Hospital to work on a bit of Qigong and Tai Chi with them as well, and meditation, just to give them a bit of an introduction and what it's all about. So that's happening quite soon. I'm hoping to have a break over Christmas, which is also one thing I enjoy, because that's my family time as well that we have.
Yep.
At the moment, I'm currently doing a degree in social work as well. So I'm hoping I can, at the end of that, I can tie in my Tai Chi and in Qigong with my social work degree to help people as well, to further help people.
Cool.
And that's the way I look at things, as a positive. I can still continue to help people, and then also give them these tools to help themselves as well. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like a great combination.
It is. At the moment, though, it's a little bit, as you would, study is always stressful. But when you look back on each time, you think, oh, why did I stress about that? But at the time, it's a pretty big deal. But yeah, so I'm going through the motions of that. My ideal goal from this as well is to work in the LSD clinics, healing clinics. So they work with a lot of people with trauma, as such, and it's sort of only coming back now. Queensland are accepting to it. I'm just waiting. Hopefully, New South Wales will be on board with it as well, where they'll have people can come into a clinic, take, prescribed LSD with a social worker and a psychiatrist in one room.
Interesting.
And then we talk them through the their healing process, and they're having that process themselves. Yeah. So again, once I got wind of this, it was like a light bulb off in my head, just like it was to go to China. I was like, this is what I must do. I must do this. I must finish this to do this, because this is the road I want to go down.
Cool.
But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, put it up to the universe. Yeah.
So what's the difference between, say, doing that without a psychedelic, something like LSD, compared to doing it with LSD? With the psychedelic, obviously it's straight away, you're in there, you've opened up that door very quick. It's like you barged through it, and you're having all these other experiences and visualizations as such. And it can also be a healing process, but also it could have its cons as well. But I think in these centres, they prepare you for that. So you might do a meditation before you go into the process and just the calming environment. Whereas actually doing it yourself through meditation, it takes practice and time. But you can do it. There is a saying that Buddha himself used to sit in front of like a blank wall, and that's how he would expand his mind and open up his channels as well. So, okay.
Yeah. So I encourage people, if they do want to meditate, give that a go as well. Like you'll find it yourself. Like you might be in the shower and you get all these great ideas because, your shower might be white walls and they're blank, but that's where your great ideas come to you. So then you jump out and, you write them down. Whereas if you were to sit in front of that wall and just let your mind go, you will receive those same messages as well. Or do Tai Chi and you will still get that flow.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And it does. It all comes back to, again, what you said, heaps of paths up the mountain.
There is. There's heaps of paths up the mountain. It's just which one do you want to take and branch off and get in there, for sure.
Yeah, it's like LSD therapy might be good, like the perfect spot for someone who's tried something, 10 years of traditional meditations and breath work and all this stuff and couldn't break through for whatever reason, and that could be the catalyst or the thing that is able to shift them, a therapy like that. Definitely.
I think anything is possible and everything should be open on the table for everyone to try. Whether it be spirituality, to using the psychedelics for your own trauma treatment, why not? Give it a go. Even marry them all together. Try them all, you know, together. So what works for you, and you know what you can gain out of it as well.
Yeah, especially if there's evidence that it's helping other people.
Definitely.
So how does that differ? Say if someone wanted to just take LSD in a room by themselves, or like with their friend to sort of watch them and make sure they're okay. What do you think of the benefits if someone was to go down that path of doing it in a therapeutic setting rather than just doing it themselves?
I think it's the... personally, I would feel I'd be more secure in a therapeutic clinic than I would be with a friend. Even though that you have that gain of trust with that friend, I feel if anything was to go wrong, you have the people there to help you. You know, you have those available services. Everything's just a step away. But also it takes away that, you know, you might have a bit of judgmental things from your friend that if you're going through a couple experiences, your friend might say stuff to you if they don't agree with it or whatnot, and you might spiral in a different direction. Whereas if you have two people on the outside of your bubble looking in, and there to guide you, I think that would be the better case to go and the better road to go down. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But as I would think, that's how I would like to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not saying that, you know, the other way is bad. Like, each to their own. If you want to give it a go, do it. To the way that you prefer. But, yeah, personally, if I was to do it, this is how I would do it, for sure.
Yeah, cool. That's fascinating because, I mean, it's something that was shunned and illegal for so long, and I guess in many parts of the world, maybe even here, even is by a lot of people. Like, it's shunned as being this demonic thing that's roped in with heaps of other, like, really harmful drugs or whatever. So it's interesting to see that now, after, you know, 50 plus years of research being banned on it, that it's starting to emerge and starting to have promise, because I see you've got cultures and tribes of people that have used these different plant medicines forever, really, like the shaman, and for example in the Amazon, then you've got the like the what do you call them, like the traditional North American people with peyote, and that's what they used it for this same reason. Exactly,
and they're taking it to connect with their creator.
Yeah.
And that's what I think too. Like, you know, I'm quite a spiritual person, and I think, well, if that was an option, where if I was in a setting with the Native Americans and peyote was there, why not? You know, if that was the way I wanted to go down that road.
Yeah.
Because these are the things now where they're legalizing cannabis for medicinal purposes, and also CBD oils. So, you know, it's slowly coming together with everyone. I think it was, you know, related back to, you know, in that stage of the 60s in Woodstock and whatnot, everyone was too busy out doing psychedelics and
Probably,
the war
yeah.
began. So then I think Nixon, you know, legalized the drugs because they needed more people to go and fight the war. So I think that's one of the things that stemmed from it. And it's taken this long now to turn around. But I'm always intrigued with with Switzerland and Denmark. They seem to be just a few years in front of us. They've seemed to always got the business together, and they're like, yeah, we've been doing this for years. You know, It's like, well, you finally come around, you know. So I like their ideas. So, yeah. We will get there as a country. We will.
Yeah, to give it time. And, I mean, if there's evidence it works and it's helping people, then it's sinful to keep it illegal.
Definitely.
For that, at least therapeutically. Like, yeah, if there's if they cured cancer and it happened to be something that wasn't currently allowed, like you'd be crazy not to let people use it. So if they find like that LSD or some other psychedelic has positive benefits on depression or trauma or whatever it is, and it's more effective for some people than traditional therapies, and it's a shame if they can't utilize that.
Yeah, it's a shame if they can't share that information.
Yeah.
Ever since I was even a little girl, I believed that there is one plant on the earth that can cure diseases. So for each disease, there is a plant that can cure that disease. And I've always believed that. I still do believe that. Some people might laugh, but I'm thinking like it's, you know, our pharmaceutical companies and that keep, you know, the cures that are not happening. So I always, you know, this is it. Like we've got to come back to the earth to save us with disease. Sure.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of medicines that treat the symptoms, not the cause.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So what overall is some advice that you would give young people or just anyone in general on how to live the best life that they possibly could live?
Yeah, great question. For me, I just like to keep an open mind. I like to observe people and get a feel of their energy, to be more in tune with yourself, connect more to your own sixth sense, and just slow down. Everyone is in a rush to go anywhere these days. Just slow down, think things through. It doesn't matter if you're hypersensitive about something. Just take those couple of breaths, calm your mind, and ease into things. Look at philosophy. You know, I often I'll come up with some random philosophical thing to a friend of mine, and they'll be like, "Where'd you get that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It just come to me at the time that you needed to hear." So there's no coincidences. Things just happen, and you've just got to go with it. Go with the flow. You know, do what works for you. Nobody else. It's your journey. It's no one else's journey. But also mind your ego. You know, ego is a major concept of everyone's undoing. So I think once you start identifying your own ego, you can identify other people's as well. And you quickly learn who your people are after that. And you can find other like-minded people. And you open up. So I definitely advise for people to just, you need your ego, but remember, just watch it. Don't let it get too carried away sometimes. For sure.
Like find that balance point.
Exactly. You know, put it back in the box when you have to.
Cool. Great. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Danielle. It was great to chat with you.
Yeah, it was lovely. Thank you. I think we covered a lot of stuff tonight across the board. We did.
Yeah, it was really good. We got to touch on some really interesting things.
Definitely.
I think a lot of people will benefit from listening to this one.
Excellent. I hope so. I hope everyone enjoyed it. But yeah, it's just, there's so many things that we could do as people ourselves to help raise our vibrations and help other people. And I think, you know, it'd be a shame if people didn't get on board with that. For sure.
Yeah, awesome. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you very much. Bye.